All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a highly rhythmic and honestly profoundly structured poem called Banner is Green. We're going to look really closely at how this piece uses repetition and natural imagery to build this incredibly complex vision of society, faith, and human development. It's a fascinating piece of writing, and by breaking it down, we're going to uncover the very specific, almost mathematical logic the author uses to construct her worldview.
We start with her opening lines, which immediately hook us into her whole vibe. Take a listen to this. The grass is green where fruits grow. The oaks are sturdy in good heritage. Right out of the gate, she establishes this baseline of natural growth and deep-rooted stability. She isn't just painting a pretty picture of a landscape here. She's actually setting up a framework for what strength and heritage truly look like in the real world.
But before we really unpack the rest of her poetry, let's talk about the mind behind the words. Understanding the author, Oluyomi Ola-David, is absolutely crucial here because she brings a very specific professional and spiritual lens to her writing. The words you see on the page, they're a direct reflection of her incredibly unique background.
Looking at her profile, we get a clear picture of exactly who she is. She's a Nigerian professional who is hyper-focused on global development and policy strategy. She states straight up that she thrives on generating solutions and providing clarity. Plus, she is deeply driven by her faith. She beautifully describes God, whom she calls her Father God, the ruler of the universe, as the wheel within her wheels. So as we go through her lines, keep her strategic, solution-oriented, and faith-driven perspective in the back of your mind, because she constructs her poetry a lot like a strategist building a policy. Section 1. Decoding the motif, the formula of the grass is green. Let's dive in and see exactly how she structures her vision of a thriving world. Now, what's really fascinating is how she uses this recurring formula across her stanzas. It's almost mathematical. Look at her structural logic. We have a constant motif, the grass is green. Then she introduces a specific condition, like where shepherd leads or where decree stands. And finally, she gives us the result. Gardens are delightsome or the banner is lovely. She creates this direct cause and effect relationship, showing us that a thriving environment doesn't just randomly happen. You literally have to meet the specific conditions. Section 2. Nature and Providence. Deep Roots and Faithful Vines. Let's see how our first overarching theme grounds us in the natural world. In this stanza, she writes, "The grass is green, where roots are deep, the branches are loaded in faithful vine." She's linking deep roots directly to abundantly loaded branches. It's a gorgeous metaphor that shows natural growth relies entirely on a faithful, unseen foundation. I mean, think about it. You can't have those loaded branches without the deep roots. The visible success is 100% dependent on the invisible groundwork she's describing. And this brings us right to the concept of providence. She frames nature as this perfectly ordered system governed by a higher power. Later in the poem, she actually notes that the sun is timely and the sky is free in appointed place. So for her, the universe isn't some chaotic mess. It's timely, it's appointed, and it operates precisely as it was designed to. Section 3. Society, Justice, and Order. A Vision for Thriving Streets. Moving away from nature, let's see how she brings this formula into human society. This part really reflects her passion for global transformation. She writes how the flow of mercy and a solid rocky foundation lead directly to orderly homes. Notice what she did there. She paired an emotional or spiritual condition, mercy flowing, with a very structural architectural result, a rocky foundation and orderly homes. She's literally mapping out the blueprint for a healthy domestic life. Order. That single word captures her ultimate foundational goal as a policy influencer. When things are built correctly, when mercy is actually present, society functions smoothly. Everything falls into order. She then takes this orderly vision and expands it into the public sphere, declaring that where just wins, the street thrives in full swing. What a vibrant image, right? The streets aren't just barely surviving, they're thriving in full swing. But again, check the condition. This only happens where just wins. For her, justice is the absolute prerequisite for public prosperity. So, to put this all into perspective, her definition of a thriving society is not based on luck. Based on her text, it is the calculated, direct result of justice winning and help being present. She actually mentions later where help is present, the praise sings. She tackles societal well-being like it's an equation that we have the power to balance. Section 4. The Internal Landscape. Generating Solutions.
Let's explore how she tackles challenges, pulling directly from her professional background.
I absolutely love this stanza. Honestly, I think it's one of the most powerful in the entire piece. She writes, "The grass is green where problems stare, the solution thinks in quiet strength." She personifies solution as this incredibly calm, collected entity that just quietly thinks when faced with glaring, staring problems. It's such a striking contrast to how most of us normally react to a crisis, isn't it?
Let's break down her mental process here. First, the problems stare. They're present, they're intimidating, and they are demanding your attention. Second, the solution thinks. It doesn't freak out or react impulsively, it pauses and it processes. And third, it responds with quiet strength. She's showing us that true power and problem solving doesn't have to be loud or frantic.
This highlights her strategic approach so wonderfully. As someone who generates solutions for a living, she knows that the real answer relies entirely on providing clarity and thoughtful reflection rather than chaotic, knee-jerk reactions. The solution is always deliberate.
Section 5. A Vision for Development. The Open Banner. Let's bring all of this together to understand her ultimate message about human development.
A minimalist, open space brilliantly illustrates the culmination of her ideas. She writes earlier that where decrees stands, the banner is lovely, and a clean, expansive, open space perfectly reflects her open-ended vision for growth. It's a clean slate, an orderly foundation just waiting to be built upon by righteous decrees, and that quiet strength we just talked about.
And this leads us to her climactic assertion: "The grass is green where enemies abound, the victor wins in development space." Even in the presence of adversity, literally where enemies abound, she envisions victory. But notice exactly where that victory takes place. It doesn't happen on some chaotic battlefield, it takes place specifically within a constructive development space. She flips the script, turning conflict into an actual opportunity for growth and transformation. As we wrap up this explainer, Oluyomi Oladevid leaves us with a truly powerful framework. She's given us her formula: a constant, a condition, and a result. So the question we really need to ponder is this: what specific conditions do we need to set up in our own spheres of influence, in our homes, on our streets, and in our minds, to ensure our own grass remains green? How do we cultivate our own thriving development spaces? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredibly inspiring vision. Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.